Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my epic rant on the 2020 direct-to-video piece of dried up shit that is Two Graves in the Desert. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this film, I want to give a special shout out to Daniel for requesting this review. And if there's another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below, and I'll try to get to it as soon as I possibly can. Two Graves in the Desert is one of those movies that directly after you have finished watching it, you struggle remembering anything about the movie that you just watched. This is the epitome of forgettable, bland, boring, and pointless. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't enjoyable in a so bad it's good way. The film was just incredibly inept and just unbelievably dull. The movie is directed by this guy who is a relative unknown. I think he's directed a few other things before and since. A guy named Benjamin Goalarbe. Yeah, this is a guy who directed a bunch of short films and then did this movie. And I guess he's doing another movie called The Fractal, which apparently hasn't been released yet, even though he apparently directed it in 2020. So, actually, no, this guy hasn't really directed a whole lot other than this one movie. And you can definitely see why. The direction in this film is very flat. It's about as flat as your average desert back road. The director tries to inject some originality or uniqueness into the film with different sort of angles for the camera or perspectives, but it just all comes across as very muddled and doesn't really have that much of a clear focus. And it also seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't help either that he chose an incredibly difficult kind of film to pull off visually for a first-time filmmaker. Yeah, do a movie that is limited in terms of space and features the majority of the scenes taking place in the back of a truck in a cramped, enclosed space. Not really the best idea for a first-time director, and it shows that he's not good enough to be able to make this into something that is visually pleasing or visually unique, because he's just can't do it. He's not someone like David Cronenberg or some of these other more established directors who can take a film with a setting like this and actually make it work. He essentially backed himself into a corner before he even started shooting anything because of the structure of this film's plot. It's something where he could have made it claustrophobic, he could have made it tense in that regard, but he's not a talented enough filmmaker to make that work. So things just come across very lame. The visuals just kind of run together and not in a good way. And when it comes to these sequences that take place in the back of this truck in a very tight, cramped space, they just look like they are shot in the back of a truck in a tight and closed, cramped space, but there's nothing that's really done to enhance feelings of claustrophobia or any sort of tension. It just is very amateurish and very inadequate, to say the least. And he's not one of the guys who wrote it. Apparently this was written by Jean Gardiel, Ed Kaplan, and Cameron Watson, who adapted the film, I guess, based on a script from a different language, because it says English adaptation, which means that I guess this was initially some project that was meant to be a foreign film, but then they couldn't get investors or something, and then they turned into a direct-to-video American movie. That kind of explains why you see a lot of what seems like what might be French names in the credits. I could be wrong. It might be a completely different country or nationality that's involved with this film. But there's a lot of names that you look in here, and it looks like very. It looks French to me, and or could be Spanish, considering a lot of the actors that are in the cast, especially the lead. Whatever the case is, this script sucks. It does nothing to make these two lead characters likable or engaging or fun to watch. The male lead is this guy named Eric, and apparently has some boner pill formula that he stole from somebody, or he had the formula all along, but he didn't want to sell it to these shady guys, and so they decided to kidnap him. Yeah, the whole formula that this guy has, it's for boner pills. It's basically Viagra. So this guy with his boner pill formula is not a very engaging or likable character, because he don't give a shit about whether or not he manages to get his formula sold, because it's fucking boner pills. Then on top of that, you have this escort named Blake, and she's kidnapped and thrown in the back of this trunk because of the fact that I guess she double-crossed the guy Mario. She stole like $40,000 from him, and so now they're gonna kill her. I don't know why they don't just shoot her and take her out. I don't know why they're fucking with her like this and tying her up in saran wrap with this other guy. Maybe they knew the twist, which is revealed later by the end of the movie, that Eric is the father of her child. Maybe they knew that, so they're just a bunch of sick fucks and they're just messing with her. But I didn't really quite catch that. So it just seems like they're just fucking around and just dragging things out for really no reason. Every now and then there'll be a couple other people who will show up as dead bodies. They're thrown into the back of the trunk with these two characters. One of them is a friend and colleague of Eric's named Max. And I think there's another guy who might have been somewhat involved with Blake, who also gets thrown in the back. And there's not much intrigue going on here. The captors, you don't really get a whole lot about them, except that they're brothers, and one of the brothers, who's a younger brother of Mario, Vince, he shot and killed their parents. I guess you get that bit of information as the film goes on. This script tries to inject humor, but it's really idiotic and inane and dumb, because like one of the first scenes in this film involves Mario and Vince, and they're talking about how Samuel Jackson was in Titanic, and then the other brother's like, no, he wasn't. And then the other guy's trying to act like there were no black people in Titanic. And then the other brother's arguing with him and saying, no, there were. And it's just the kind of stuff that's trying to be like natural dialogue or witty banter between two people. But it's just so stilted and bad that it just comes across as lame. And then on top of that, Vince drinks a bottle of his own fucking piss. And the writers thought it was so hilarious that they included it in the script twice. And this is a screenplay that also has lines of dialogue like one of the brothers looking at the moon and it's orange, and he says, oh, we've got a Trump moon tonight. Yeah, there's a Trump moon. It's a big, beautiful orange moon. I'm like, a Trump moon? What the fuck? And then the film, it pretty much concludes exactly how you think it's going to conclude. The two brothers double cross one another. One of them shoots the other. The other brother gets killed by the final girl because there's no way we're going to have a final guy. The only thing that was a little unpredictable was that the guy got killed in totally inept fashion. He tried to hide in a body bag to surprise his captors with a gun, but then something happens and he gets accidentally shot in the head. So, like, the guy doesn't even do anything. He just gets shot by accident. And, yeah, the girl survives. She's the final girl. She beats the shit out of Mario. Well, not Mario. Mario gets shot by Vince. So she beats the shit out of Vince with a fire extinguisher. And then goes on to live her life. And then you find out this twist that Eric was the father of her child. And she did recognize him. She did know him from before because she was one of her last clients. So that's why she knows that he's the father of her unborn child. There is absolutely nothing to this fucking script. I mean, there are moments where you have Mario and Vince showing up and fucking with their trying to remember, like, I don't, for some reason my brain is not wanting to work properly. So yeah, they just show up on video screens messing with the people that they're holding captive. And there are also some moments where Eric is trying to call for help, but apparently because of the fact that he's using a burner phone, 911 can't trace where he's at. I guess that's how things work. He tries calling for help, but it doesn't do anything because he's using a burner phone. And the fact that this guy is using a burner phone just makes him into a very shady kind of guy. So that doesn't help in terms of you giving any kind of a shit about this character. So that's what leads to Max getting involved, his friend. And then Max winds up getting the shit kicked out of him. And then winds up dead. So yeah, this Eric guy is definitely a real help. He definitely seems like a really good guy. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about the script, because there isn't really much to the script. I can't believe that there are 3 writers for this shit. It took 3 writers to come up with this fucking screenplay about guys who drink piss in the middle of the fucking desert, kidnap 2 people, throw them in the back of a trunk, have this sort of on, off again, will they, won't they kind of attempted relationship between Eric and Blake that goes nowhere, and because it has no genuine romantic tension. So, or just any tension to begin with. Like, there's no romantic tension in this script, and there's no tension period in this script. There's no reason for any legit suspense, because none of these characters are written in ways where they are strong or engaging. Whether it's the villains or the supposed heroes. Then you have the cast, which is headlined by Michael Madsen and William Baldwin, but both of these guys are just drunk off their ass or high or both. They are delivering very minimal effort here when it comes to their performances. I know they're doing what they can to put food on the table and keep making money, but at a certain point, you need to have some dignity and fucking retire. Especially for Michael Madsen. retire, man. This is just sad and pathetic. Like, I get why William Baldwin is taking whatever he can get, because he's William fucking Baldwin. But Michael Madsen, like, just, you got big paydays back in the day, man. I would think you got enough money, unless you pissed it all away. Maybe you pissed it all away doing gambling or drinking or drugs or whatever. But it's just sad seeing him all bloated and just sleepwalking through his scenes, showing none of the same charisma that he was known for in his career. William Baldwin, I am a huge fan of Backdraft. It's one of my favorite movies. But man, he did not really have much of a career after that movie. And you can kind of see why. Maybe he just wasn't that great of an actor. Maybe he was limited in terms of his acting ability. Because that's definitely the case here. He just acts like a shrunken version of his brother Alec. And I don't know how he's able to even see anything when it comes to his scenes in this movie, because his eyes are squinting so goddamn much that you can't even see his fucking pupils. I swear to God, most of his fucking scenes, he's doing them with his eyes closed. I'm gonna shoot you in the desert. I'm gonna bury you in a grave in the desert. Like, Jesus Christ, William Baldwin, open your fucking eyes. So yeah, they shot their scenes probably in like 2 days. And there's nothing to them. There's nothing to their performances. There's nothing to their sequences. Michael Madsen is embarrassing himself drinking a bottle of his own piss. Great. Then you have other actors like E.R. Ruiz, who plays a guy named Blondie, who's the owner of this club. You have Ryan Slater, who plays Eric's friend. Ryan Slater is the kid from The Amazing Panda Adventure. Yeah, that actor, all grown up. You have Cassie Howarth and Ivan Gonzalez, who play Eric and Blake. They have no chemistry with one another, and both of them have accents that are very thick. So there are numerous sequences where I did not understand what the fuck anyone was saying. So great. I would say out of the two performers here, Cassie Howarth was, I guess, kind of the more tolerable of the two, because Ivan Gonzalez was fucking terrible. It was awful. It's not just the fact that he had a very thick accent that made it hard to understand what he was saying. The guy has all the fucking charisma and personality of a trunk or a desert. He was that bad. So yeah, the performances suck. Like, this is a movie where everything sucks. The direction sucks. The writing sucks. The acting sucks. The other technical merits of the film suck, like the editing or the cinematography. Everything looks flat. Everything looks cheap. And none of the technical aspects do anything to elevate the film above the fucking dumpster that it's already trapped in. Might as well be, a trunk full of shit, or 2 graves in the desert. And those 2 graves are the 2 fucking brain cells that it took to fucking write this movie. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this movie. The score is also horribly generic and bad. It's easily one of the worst films that I've seen recently, because it's just so fucking pointless. It doesn't deliver when it comes to any thrills, when it comes to the plot. It doesn't deliver when it comes to any sort of so bad it's good moments with some of the performers or the cast. It's a film that deserves the 2.9 out of 10 that it gets on IMDb, and then some, because it's fucking garbage. It's a terrible movie. You would have more excitement out of just standing in the middle of the fucking desert. I'm serious. Go for a hike in the desert and just stand there, and you'll get more excitement from that experience than you would from watching 2 graves in the fucking desert. But anyway, I got nothing else. yeah, as always, thanks for watching my review, and I will see you later. See ya.